when the West Indies posted a mammoth 245-6 in the first T20 of the bilateral series in the USA, our hopes shattered. But when India almost chased it down, to knead it off the last ball, with the world's best finisher sloughing his lines, our hearts shattered. It wasn't Dhoni's day, neither Team India's. The solitary run defeat in the inaugural match of the bilateral series sent shockwaves from across the seas. A couple of decades back, some of you reading this were not even born when jogged me and Dad hit the six off Chetan Sharma on the last ball of the Sharda Cup in 1986. But only the written report of Pakistan crushing India in a last ball climax is more than enough to pinch you. This is what cricket does. It breaks hearts. Not that we want to put you through Team India's most heartbreaking losses once again, but here's just a quick recap. Number 5 Group Match, ICC World Cup, 2007. The hurtful memories of this match are yet to end. The then Indian team boasted of the biggest names in international cricket, Sachin Tendulkar, Sourav Ganguly and Rahul Dravid among others. Bowling first, Bangladesh bowled out India for a mediocre 191 before going on to chase it down comfortably, thanks to the amazing performance of some new young faces, one of them being Mushfiq Rahim. The only bright spot for India was Sourav Ganguly's half-century in a game that was marked by sloppy fielding, poor shots, and below-average bowling. It was a game between Bangladesh youngsters and international legends. The underdogs overshadowed India with their tremendous display of grit. Team India was not out of the World Cup eventually before the knockout stages, which signified another quadrennial wait to relieve 1983. Number 4 World Cup semi-final, 1996. After putting up a score of 251 on the board, the Sri Lankan team were looking to defend it under Arjuna Ranatunga's brilliant captaincy. On the other hand, Team India's batting attack was led by its biggest hope, Sachin Tendulkar, who started off his innings in style. However, India's hopes were crushed when Tendulkar was stumped at 65 from 88 balls. And what followed his exit was a dramatic slump to 120-8, courtesy of Jayasuriya's brilliance. The match was played at the Eden Gardens in Kolkata, and the widespread heartbreak among the fans was evident. Then they vented out their frustration by throwing stones and bottles on the ground, and burning newspapers. Owing to the rage among the spectators, the match had to be called off by the umpires and Sri Lanka were announced as winners even before the game ended. India losing the World Cup semi-final on its home turf was indeed a hard pill to swallow. Number 3 World Cup semi-final, 2015. Team India was facing Australia on the Kangaroos' home turf and the minds knew it was going to be tough, as defeating the Kangaroos in a World Cup semi-final is a huge task. But we were determined that we won't give it back. We didn't want to return the trophy earned after a drought of 28 years. Keeping aside Australia's psychological advantages, India as a unit was in good form. Crushing the minnows and cruising past the bigger teams, their journey to the semi-finals was praiseworthy. The fielding was electric, bowling had undergone a makeover and the batting department didn't seem to disappoint as well. However, as fate had it, India lost to Australia by 95 runs to make a hurtful exit from the tournament. We could not capitalize on a good start, and the Kangaroos were at their devastating best. But the loss was not the only reason for the heartbreak. In a country where cricketers are worshipped, their shares are sure to affect the fan base. MS Dhoni's eyes were moist when he spoke to the media at the presentation ceremony. The cricketer who otherwise refrained from exhibiting his emotions, Dhoni's show of disappointment over the loss proved why it was so difficult to give it back. Number 2 T20 World Cup semi-final, 2016. Though the hosts could not start off their campaign at home with flamboyance, with the Black Caps getting the better of them in the inaugural match, the games that followed suggested a chance of a berth in the finals. Pakistan's wait to burst the crackers could not end. Bangladesh's premature celebrations turned into the most humiliating defeat in cricket, and Australia were served the revengeful dish for the 2015 semi-final defeat. India reached the semi-finals, but the flat pitch and short boundaries at the Wankhede went in favor of the West Indies. The country looked forward to repeating history by winning yet another World Cup at home. But the road to Eden Gardens from Wankhede was blocked by the Caribbeans. Given the religious love for cricket in India, the dinner tables in many houses remained unoccupied that night. Number 1 T20 World Cup Final, 2014 losing the final of any tournament is as upsetting as losing on the last ball of any match. When the men in blue entered the 2014 edition of the T20 World Cup in Bangladesh, they were one of the favorites to lift the cup. After being the only unbeaten team in the group stages, India entered the knockout, riding on Kohli's brilliance. Given the scintillating manner in which India reached the final, the fans had abolished the word loss from their minds' dictionary. But when India faced off Sri Lanka in the all-important finale, the rotten luck seemed to have befallen India. Batting first, they managed only 134th in 20 overs, and it wasn't surprising of the opponent team to surpass the total in 17.5 overs. Without getting into the blame game, this loss was not just humiliating but caused a heartbreak epidemic across the country. Winning and losing are parts of the game, but with so many emotions fastened to sports, being on the losing end can affect even the strongest